One.
What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 23 of the HTC podcast, where we pack 1 hour or 1 hour worth of content. Oh, wait, that's backwards. 15 days worth of content into 1 hour, and this time it will only be 1 hour.
We'll try.
I'm gonna stick this time. My bad. So what's up, guys? Oh, actually, before we start, I need to give a little shout out to our sponsor, Anchor. Every week, holding it down for us.
Thank you, Anchor.
So, this week had a lot of conferences going on from all the major game studios and game companies. So, let's just jump right into it and talk about them. And just start off. Well, actually, PlayStation did have a conference, right? No,
it was 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago now.
2 weeks ago, yeah. But they had some big news about their controllers and a few other things. So that we didn't get to talk about yet. So maybe we can jump into that first. So you guys are down for that?
Yes.
All right.
Sure.
So, what are you guys' thoughts on the controller? The DualSense.
It's a lot bigger than the original DualShock 4 controllers, and I like that because I don't have the smallest hands. I would say a little decent sized hands, I guess, but but it looks more like the size of the Xbox controllers, so definitely. I think that's a plus for sure.
I think so too. I do love the way the Xbox controller feels in your hand. It has a good ergonomic kind of feel.
Mm-hmm.
I like the layout of the PlayStation, but I like the feeling of the Xbox. So I think this is a good amalgamation of both. You know.
I agree. I like where the joysticks are placed on the PlayStation instead of Xbox.
Yep. No, I totally agree. Like exactly what Vu said. The ergonomic grip of the Xbox, it feels like, I guess it's the girth of the Xbox controller. But the sticks location, it feels a lot more in line with the DualShocks. I like where they are. But it is what it is, so we'll see. I like it either way. But yeah, definitely, it looks like it's got a little bit more beef and more meat on it. So we'll see how it feels. I'm excited for it. It looks like... I think hopefully it'll be the same. I was trying to watch Jeff Keighley and his live stream and get his thoughts about it and see what the feel was compared to like the DualShock 4. And he said it was roughly about the same. Maybe the DualSense is a little heavier, and that could be just because of the new internals kind of thing. But other than that, almost, it's not exactly the same, but it's not too much heavier. So that's pretty cool.
Nice.
I honestly prefer it to have a little bit more heft to it, because I hated the way I think it was the PS3 controller that had no analog sticks, or not analog, the rumble. It didn't have any rumble. It didn't have the rumble pack.
Oh,
so
the
it was
6XS.
Yeah, and it was super lightweight, and it felt like a toy. Like
yeah.
it would just you can just throw it right out of your hands. So I kind of like the fact that they added a little extra weight, because that's one thing I like about the Xbox. You feel it when it rumbles. It's it makes an impact in the way you feel through the game, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yep. I think my favorite controller still of all time. I really like the Xbox 360 controller. Like the feel of that was like perfect. The buttons and the triggers felt great. I think the second or like runner up is the Switch Pro controller.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I really like the Pro controller because with the triggers on it, it's like a hybrid button / trigger, so you don't have to pull too deep, but it's not shallow like how the Wii U Pro controller was, where it feels like super plasticky. So I like that one. And then the Pro controller has the rumble in there too.
Yep.
So I'm like, all right, cool. The Xbox One controller, I like the ergonomic grip, but the weight, it was a little too light for me. But I did like how it was in my hand, how it felt in my hand. So that was a pretty cool part. But
I don't like the D-pad on the Xbox One controller is terrible, and on the 360 controller.
Yeah.
So those are terrible. Yeah.
The Elite, dude. The Elite is an amazing controller. I love it. I mean, really? $450 is worth it, dude. That's a great controller.
Yeah, I always thought that was a lot of money. Oh yeah, but you could program them, and they have extra buttons on the side. Yeah, it looks.
The back buttons and everything too.
That's definitely something to look forward to. Yeah, I'll check into that.
For sure.
Does the PS5 DualSense have back button controllers too? I don't remember that. Conference. It doesn't.
I know that the PS4 has some sort of attachments you could buy.
Yeah.
But so the PS4 doesn't come standard with it, huh?
No, so we were thinking that the DualSense when I was watching it, we were thinking that the DualSense was gonna have the back button attachment, so it would make it, I guess those extra mappable buttons on the back that would have been kind of standing out as opposed to Xbox's Elite controller. And if they were to announce the DualSense with that standard, that'd have been cool. But Jeff was showing it off on stream and he was holding it, and there was no back button attachment. So I was like, oh, great. So, they already said that the PS4 DualShock 4 is going to be forwards compatible. So if you find, they're super rare right now, but if you find the back button attachment, use the DualShock 4 on the PS5, and with those little back button attachments, you have the extra triggers, because it doesn't look like the DualSense is going to have it, or at least out of box. They might have the attachment at launch, but we'll see. They haven't announced anything yet, so
Yeah, that's too bad.
yeah.
I think that's a good missed opportunity to make the controller evolve a little bit, because the layout is still kind of the basic same layout, and adding an extra back buttons would have gave it a little bit some extra, I don't know, what do you call that?
Give some depth.
Some depth, some evolution to the product. So,
Yeah.
That's true, because I mean, we haven't really seen too much of an evolution in these controllers for a couple generations now. I guess it's not needed, but I noticed that the companies have been trying to call something HD rumble, different type of haptic feedbacks, or just like messing around with like either motion controls or different vibrations. Not so much adding buttons, which really probably would be just the best thing, is just make those extra back buttons a standard thing. So that's a missed opportunity for sure.
Yeah.
DualSense Pro with that or something,
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Like they might come out with, the controller that's like $90 or $100 or something like that, and it has the back button attachments.
They want to upsell us, man.
Hey, I mean, it is what it is. Look at the launch Xbox One controller, didn't have the headphone jack. Like, why wouldn't you build that in?
Yeah.
And then now,
oh man, that's terrible. Good thing I never got the launch one.
Yeah.
And it was overpriced.
Yeah, you had to buy what's they called? I bought the launch one, and it didn't have the headphone jack, so you had to buy that special adapter if you wanted to use the 3.5. So I was like, nah, that's stupid. And then once the S and the X model, they came built in, so I was like, man, you guys could have done this from the start. You're just holding out. So
I think they even added it soon before that, because I never got an S model, but I got like the second or third revision, like internals, but they included the headphone jack. That's something I think they fixed right away, because they had so many complaints. I mean, that's backwards. The Xbox 360 controller had an input. Right. So it's like the jokes back then. Remember, it took 359 steps back, the Xbox One, not 360.
That's true.
That was a good one. But yeah, good times, good console memes. But and I'm sure there'll be new ones when the new consoles come out. But
man, yep.
So I think there was one more PlayStation news that I heard about, that their PS5. I don't know if you guys heard about it, but they're only going to be limiting them to one person per order, or one household per order.
Oh. Yep, I heard of that.
I believe something like that. Yep. So it's pretty limited. So at least this way you don't get all the bots and stuff scalping them either, which would be good.
They'll find a way, but it'll slow them down a little bit.
They'll slow down a little bit, yeah.
From what I heard, they nearly doubled the production to up to 10 million units at launch. But they're expecting a lot of those units to be delayed in shipment because of COVID. So even if you get your pre-order in, I mean, there could be potential that you would probably get later. So that sucks. But other than that, I think it's good that they're trying to ramp up production, because they are anticipating higher demands than normal because of COVID, and more people are interested in game consoles. You look at the Switch selling out. Even the existing consoles like the PS4 and stuff like that are flying off the shelves a little bit. Other than that, hopefully it's not too hard to hope one of us at least gets the pre-order in there.
Yeah, like you said, as of right now, it is super hard to get a console regardless. Like, I know at work, like, we're sold out of everything. That's PS3s, 360s, barely can keep any controllers in, and it's literally one of those things where it's like, when the PS5 comes out and the Xbox Series X comes out, I don't know how this is going to work, because there might be like those. Remember when the iPhone launched? Like there might be like fights over PS5s and Xbox Ones, and that's gonna be crazy. So
Damn. I'll make sure to record that and come to the
yeah,
midnight launch.
yeah, I'm like mentally prepping for that
Oh
potential,
yeah.
and
You need to get ready.
that's gonna be super crazy because there's literally no PS3s or Xbox 360s
Wow.
and that's super crazy. PS4s and Xbox Ones, those have been sold out for weeks now. I don't know
Really?
when we're gonna
That's
get the next
insane.
shipment. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of supply chain issues right now. So hopefully we'll get some of this normalcy back in the shipping, but I don't know how it's gonna be. If
Yeah.
this this coronavirus keeps up, we might just see this all the way until next year, until we
Yeah.
get like that actual like cure for it.
I hear a
Or
vaccine maybe by December. We'll see.
yeah,
It's
we'll
not gonna
see.
be like the end of next year. Watch. It's gonna take a long
Yeah,
time.
I
Yeah,
know. They're trying to like give us hope, but
Every little
I
hope.
I think everyone should just prepare for the long haul
yep.
Yep.
for sure. Other
Yeah.
than that, I'm content. I don't know about you guys, but I'm content with my own consoles right now. I'm not too crazy about getting a PS5 at launch. I would be disappointed
Mhm.
if I can't get it at launch, but I mean, as we mentioned before, it favors to wait. To get the kinks out of the original hardware. Maybe there's some sort of hardware or software glitch on the launch consoles, and we look throughout history with these launch consoles that there is some sort of launch hiccups usually. So it's always good to wait.
Yeah.
Same
And
here.
even oh, go ahead.
Yeah, same here. Just with new stuff, especially brand new products like these, I would prefer to wait anyways. Give it like a year to let them work out all the hardware kinks or the software bugs they're gonna eventually have. And I know a lot of times the first new console is always like the most sought after that everybody's looking for, but I'd rather just get something that works and just wait a little bit.
Yep. It might
Yep.
be cheaper too, and there might be like a limited edition console that you could get.
Mhm.
That's what I'm waiting for. Some sort of PS5 limited edition packed in
Mhm.
Yep.
with the game.
I'll
So
get a Spider-Man one. That's what I want, or God of War. That'd be sick.
And that's a launch title,
yeah,
right? Like Spider-Man, Miles
Spider-Man is gonna be
Morales.
launched. Yeah.
That's gonna be on
Did you,
everyone's PS5, dude, when they buy it.
did you see the fake leaks of the PS5 exclusive for that game?
No, I haven't. What was that about?
It was just like fake Photoshop photos of a PS5 with like a special edition kind of graphic for the Miles Morales story.
Oh,
Like
okay.
the mock-ups and stuff like that.
Like a mock-up. A lot of people thought it was real, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna pre-order that," and then like found out it was fake.
Someone was
Freaking
just
internet.
bored and they had like Photoshop,
Mhm.
Illustrator, and they're
Yeah.
like, "I want to make something." to
And they
look like...
they did a good job. It looked legit. So
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
people were fooled.
Sometimes people get jobs when they do spoofs like that. Like, dang, look at this guy, or look at this
Mhm.
modder. Like that happens in the gaming community. This excellent modder for a game, and they just become hired by the actual company. They're like, you know what, you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are some really good modders out there that deserve it. They deserve to get hired, dude.
Yep. Yeah. All the hard work that they do, like literally, it's cool. And also, it is like sometimes they hire these people so that way they can kind of like shut them up and stop that. So that way they're like not producing it
Yeah,
outside of the
that's
company.
true.
So,
They can charge
like,
for it. Yeah,
yeah.
I
So
get
they kind of buy them out, kind of thing.
Mm.
So it was pretty
that
cool.
makes sense.
But hey, it is what it is. Get your money, secure your bag. So.
Yep.
But yeah, yeah, I think that was pretty much it for PlayStation stuff. Like besides the
Alright.
mock-ups and stuff. Oh, let me ask you. I do have a question for you guys. What do you guys think of the cases? Do you still care for the blue case, or would you prefer another color?
You mean the
I don't mind
PlayStation?
it. Yeah, the
Yeah, for the
PlayStation 5.
PS5.
It looks the
Mm.
same. Doesn't it look the same like the PS4, right?
It's exactly the same, I think, but
I
it's
wish.
like with the color wise, it has like that little white tab on the top, so
Yeah,
it was kind of like mismatched for
I
me.
think they
So
should. I think they should have did a little bit more to make it a little bit more distinctive because that can be confusing for a lot of consumers who don't
hmm
know.
yeah.
You mean like the box, the outer packaging?
Like
They revealed
yeah,
it.
the
Oh,
actual packaging. Like it's
Mhm.
weird because it has PS5 and it has a white header and
mm.
it's on a blue box, but it's kind of like it doesn't really match up. So I saw some people doing mock-ups, speaking of those, on Twitter, and they had like that charcoal smoky gray case or like an all clear case, and it looked like it fit the actual the cover better than the blue one. because the blue one, it kind of is like a weird kind of standoffish color that doesn't really match. And
Right.
so the other ones that people mocked up, it made the game look that much more like, I guess, pristine and that much more like collectible. And I'm like,
Right.
oh, I would definitely like the aesthetic for the box. I'd be like, all right, cool, this looks good on my shelf.
Yeah, the fan made stuff. They always going hard on the fan made stuff and
Mhm.
show what the fans really want, what the freaking developers or the company is missing out on, like what they don't get.
Yeah.
See that they don't hire or at least like ask fans to make it, and then they use the fans' idea instead.
Mhm.
That'd be cool.
That would be.
Well, you remember when they brought out the PS5, just the PS5 logo? Everyone was laughing at it. Like, they just took the 4 and they just put a 5. Wow.
They
Let's give a
erased
round
it.
of applause,
Yep.
Sony. That took so long to remake
Mm.
a new
So
logo.
innovative.
So innovative. So I wouldn't be surprised if their game cases look a little whack.
Yeah.
Right? Did you see the meme of I think there was a meme of a guy who designed the PS5. He's like, I got paid $5 million and I just changed the freaking 4 to 5.
Yep.
I was like, damn.
Excellent.
Money.
Yep.
These guys are making bank and they just changed like a logo like that. That's so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so other than that, I think that's pretty much what they're doing. As far as Nintendo goes,
Yep.
Nintendo, oh man, Nintendo. So, as the resident Nintendo guy, I guess I'll start off with this one. This one was interesting. So, of course, Nintendo fans, including myself, we're always known to overhype ourselves and basically be disappointed when Nintendo comes out. This time, thought it was different. It was pretty much the same. As far as like disappointed, we disappointed ourselves, and I totally understand. It's one of those things where you hope something comes out that you want, but Nintendo's like, no, we're gonna stick to our thing. So the Nintendo presentation, their first mini direct, I guess, or direct since I think March or something. It was 10 minutes long. It was almost a shadow drop, basically, and I think it was the night before. And they were like, "Hey, we're gonna preview some games from third parties, and we're gonna see what they're working on." And I think it was last week we were talking like, "Hey, what do you want us to see?" Literally, we're talking about F-Zero. We're talking about Persona 5 on the Switch. We were talking about new what else we were talking about? Persona 5. We were talking about some other first party. Oh, Ubisoft stuff, Starlink 2, or some other stuff that they're working on. No More Heroes 3. All this stuff from third party developers. We're like, oh, Bayonetta 3. We'll see that tomorrow. And then Monday came, and it was pre-recorded, and they posted the video on YouTube, and it was 10 minutes long, and we didn't get any of that.
We got some
Yeah,
good
dude,
remakes, though. Some
The
exciting.
Yeah.
dislike ratio was really bad. I think it's at 94 to 77,000. So it's
Dude, it
Yeah.
had that gamer
Pretty
girl
bad.
dislike ratio. Dang.
It was
Yeah.
it was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad. But I mean, like I said, a lot of the Nintendo fans, including myself, we always overhype it and we overhype ourselves. And when stuff doesn't come out, it's like, it is a little disappointing, but it is what it is. Nintendo never promised anything. So, I'm the first to admit that. But hey, it's always good to be hopeful, of course. But what we did get was very interesting. I'm very curious to find why they went out with these ones. So I think the three titles or the big things that they revealed, it was Cadence of Hyrule, which is basically, I forget the base game. I think the base game is called Cadence of Hyrule, but it had the Legend of Zelda expansion, and they announced a physical copy for it. It's only previously digital, and they added more stuff in there for it. So, as an indie dev, that is super super cool for those people that worked on it, and the soundtrack. I already have the game. I'm probably gonna pick up the extra stuff, but I do want the physical copy as well. So that one's pretty cool. But that one's basically a rhythm game that it's a rhythm game dungeon crawler, and basically you have to kill enemies on beat, which is super cool. And the soundtrack is very very interesting with all this Zelda incorporation. It's kind of like they did a remix of the Zelda famous like soundtrack or
Hmm.
songs like Gerudo Valley and I think like Song of Saria, Lost Woods,
Nice.
basically.
Some
So
strong
they have some of
hitters.
that stuff. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. Looking forward to that one. But that was one of the 3 titles that they announced. The second one was I forget, but I think it was Shin Megami was one of them too. So
Megami Tensei 3
Heck
remake?
yeah.
yeah.
It's a
So
Yeah.
it's originally on the PS2, right? And I
it was
have it,
PS2, yeah.
and I still have it sealed somewhere. Oh my god, I never opened it.
And
Dang.
Yeah,
Don't
I'm
open
gonna
it.
keep it sealed. Yeah, I remember
Keep
when I
it
bought
sealed.
it. It was
Get the
already kind of
remake.
yeah, exactly. I'm just gonna wait for the remake, and that was a
Yeah.
game that I was thinking about replaying, and then I saw that well, I never played it, but that was a game I wanted to open up probably, and
Mhm.
but thankfully I'll just keep that one sealed and
Yep.
just wait for
Mhm.
the Switch one next year. It looks sick.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that one is interesting because they announced we were laughing because some of these we call dead franchises that Nintendo's forgotten. Like Shin Megami was announced almost like 5 years ago. I think it was on the Wii U. It was like they're like, all right, now in development, and they're
Mhm.
making some Shin Megami Tensei for the Wii U. And we are already 4 years into the Switch's life cycle, and we're finally getting some new news on the newest Shin Megami. So they baited us in, or they kind of let us in with Shin Megami. I think it's Shin Megami 3 Nocturne. Um,
Yeah.
or yeah, so they basically were like, "Hey, we're gonna remake this," and we are like, oh, "Okay, cool." Then all of a sudden, after that, they announced Shin Megami 5. They showed some screenshots, and it's good to see them. Like, I know there's a bunch of people been waiting for that game, and so it's nice to see another main canonical type of title come out. So, you know, with all those people that are complaining about, hey, we didn't get a new Mario or we didn't get a new Persona, blah blah blah, things like that. We didn't get Persona on the Switch. Like, you got to figure these Shin Megami fans, they've been waiting for a very very long time. So, Persona came out, I think, what 2018, 2017, and so literally they've been waiting extra long. So,
I think
I
it's just
I
so
I
tied to
don't feel bad.
Sony. It's just so tied to Sony for
Hmm.
sure.
Yeah, I think there's like some
Mhm.
sort of like wrap up with Atlas and Sony, like a partner deal
There
or
has to
something like.
be, yeah, for sure. Because I'm looking at Atlas, and they're trying to appease the Nintendo fans because they have Catherine on there, which it took a year. There's probably a year
Yeah.
exclusivity or whatever they
Mhm.
wanted to do. And then they have these Shin Megami games coming out there, so they're releasing every hard hitting, Atlas titles, but they're not bringing out Persona 4 Golden or Persona 5 Royal
Mhm.
or even Persona 3. But they do get Persona Q though, the 3DS.
Not a Q, and then
Whatever.
You see,
they did have Shin Megami on there too.
yeah, and they have Joker
Yeah.
on Smash Brothers, so it's kind of like
Yeah,
a
That's true.
big tease. That's probably the closest they could have gotten for like a Persona 5 character on them. So
Mhm.
I feel the
Yeah.
pain, but there has to be some sort of contract involved holding the back.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And
Yeah, they
there's
definitely got a hard contract lock on them because the Persona has been stuck on PlayStation forever. Only recently did it even come to Steam, right?
Yeah, and
Persona
that's
4.
because that game is
Yeah.
like 10 years old at this point with Persona 4
Mhm.
Golden. So that sounds about right.
Yeah.
So at least Shin Megami Tensei, at least they're doing something to appease some of the fans. Because Shin Megami Tensei is still pretty much a Persona game, but I guess their theme is a little bit more dark, even more
Yeah.
dark than Persona in a way.
Yeah.
So
And I think
at least
Persona
it's
it
something.
stemmed from Shin Megami Tensei, right? Like
Yep.
Persona 3 still has the Shin Megami Tensei header, and then under it's
Right.
Persona. But now we've seen that basically they've kind of separated themselves, and Persona's finally kind of like branching off from
Hmm.
on their own,
Like
and
its
Shin
own
Megami
game.
is its
Hmm.
own kind of title. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, no, I'm trying to figure out what that other game was. Like, it was literally like 10 minutes, but it was very, very short, to say the least.
Yeah.
And not showing, I think the disappointing part was not seeing some of the stuff that they were talking about. Like, as a F-Zero fan, I always hope for it every year, and I'm like, all right, cool, we'll see, hopefully something come back, you know, and we didn't see it, so I'm like, oh, it's no big deal. It's been X amount of years that we haven't had a new F-Zero or any type of, dream game that I want. But when Bayonetta didn't show up, I was like, yo, that's a platinum game. It's a Nintendo exclusive that got teased, I think, almost 3 years ago. And with platinum games, they've already had like a fallout with, not a fallout, but they've already had a canceled project with Microsoft, and that was Scalebound. And one of the sole reasons I bought an Xbox, and I think it was about a year and a half into its development cycle, literally it got canned, and I was so disappointed because I was like, it's an Xbox exclusive. It's kind of a JRPG on, a non-Sony or Nintendo console, and I'm like, okay, cool. But that one got canceled, and I'm like worried about Bayonetta 3 because we haven't heard anything new for I think it's almost 3 years. And to not see that in the third-party direct, I'm like, hopefully Bayonetta 3 does not get canceled, because I'll be super, super disappointed if it does. Because Bayonetta, it's when Nintendo brought out Bayonetta 2, and they basically brought the rights out. The story behind that was Platinum went to PlayStation and I believe Xbox as well and pitched the second idea. And they said, no, we don't want to do another one. And they went up to Nintendo, and Nintendo was like, yeah, we'll front the money, we'll do it. And so that's the only reason that we got Bayonetta 2. And now Bayonetta 3, with this first mini direct focusing on third parties and not hearing news about it, I'm kind of worried as of right now, because they haven't announced any new plans of a new direct or anything in the future. They didn't even tease like how they did with Pokemon, like, hey, stay tuned next week, we're going to have something else. And it's been silent for the last almost 3 years, I think. So hopefully it's still on track. I know with COVID, it's harder to get the teams together, but as long as we get some sort of update, like, hey, it's still working, we're still working on it, basically, it's going to take a little longer. Okay, that's fine. As long as the game's not dead, I'll be okay.
That's true. At least for me, my thoughts on F-Zero, I wasn't a huge F-Zero fan, but to me, I feel like in the eyes of Nintendo, F-Zero is kind of like, either to them it's just a dead series, or a series that's like not gonna make them any money or be too competitive to like Mario Kart or something.
Yeah.
They don't want to have that two like games, maybe messing up each other's sales. So I don't know. F-Zero would be cool to come back, but I just don't see that being anything that's sustainable to them. So I don't think they're gonna bring it back anytime soon.
You know what that reminds me of? That also reminds me, Vu, of another, not just F-Zero series, but Earthbound series hasn't seen love in the West. And then how you see like Secret of Mana, they actually had the collection released here, which was awesome. To me and a lot of other fans, that really brought life to hoping we could see a Earthbound collection through 1 through 3. That would be sick. And then if they announced like an Earthbound 4, not the fan-made Earthbound 4, but the
like
actual
Mother 4.
Yeah, like an actual Mother 4, and if they had even if they had a different director on it, that would be really cool. And if they made the graphics kind of like Link's Awakening, claymation style like graphics, even if they wanted to remake Mother 2, aka Earthbound, in that graphics, that I think fans would go crazy, and I would replay it. That would be so dope. Just do a remake. I mean, if you want to, bring more interest to the Mother, aka Earthbound series, do a sick remake like you did with Zelda Link's Awakening, add probably a little bit more content to it, maybe some sort of multiplayer mode or whatever, and then bam, fans will eat it up. Nintendo fans love Earthbound, they love NES, but they just feel like it just won't sell well because of when it released back in the Super Nintendo, back in, what was it, 96 or whatever, and around the same time where we had like Chrono Trigger and so much hard-hitting JRPGs, it just couldn't survive, even though it shined on its own. It's just because the marketing was terrible. It's literally saying the game stinks, and that's because the game came with the player manual that had scratch and stiff Snickers. That's why but people they weren't 5-head enough. They weren't smart enough to get the joke. So it's crazy, dude. Oh man, but another game I just wanted to put out there that needs more love from Nintendo.
Totally agree.
Nintendo has a lot of great IPs that they would bring back, at least like Metroid. I love playing old Metroid, especially 3D Metroid on GameCube. So good. Like that game is perfect for on the Switch with the motion controls. They need to bring it back, man. Please. I know. Aren't they working on Metroid 3? I remember they
Metroid-
had the trailer or something a long time ago.
Metroid Prime 4, I
Prime
think?
4.
4?
That's what you mean?
Prime
Yeah.
4, yeah.
And
Yeah, I heard about that a while ago.
that was
Heck
the
yeah.
thing. That was literally the announcement after Bayonetta 3. And that's why it was about 3 years ago too. And so we haven't heard anything about Metroid Prime 4, and rumors have been going around saying, "Hey, the Metroid Prime trilogy is actually going to come out physically on the Switch, but we don't know what date, and that's just been stuck in the rumor mill for now." And then they said that Metroid Prime 4 is in development, but we haven't had any updates on that either. And like Jeff was saying, with all these older franchises that were, prevalent, or kind of like, I don't know, I won't say cult classics, but didn't really pick up until later on after the console was either done or people found it again and picked it up, some odd years later, like Earthbound. It's one of those things where I would think it would do well right now because people haven't really been exposed to sort of Earthbound, and with the Secret of Mana, like Jeff was saying, it gave people hope. Like, hey, they're bringing some stuff that was prevalent in the '90s back onto newer consoles, and for the first time in the West, we get sort of a English translation of stuff that was only available in Japan. And with to your point, Fu, them talked about like not impacting sales on Mario Kart 8. Mario Kart 8 was pretty much a launch title, so I think all the sales have topped off. And right now, I think that racing kind of thing, like we have Garfield racing. Come on, like I mean, and Hello
What?
Kitty racers. Like if we
Yeah, but none of
like
those can compete with Mario Kart.
true, but I think
Even if it's an older game.
right now would be perfect because there's not really any racing games. They're not, unless they're working on a Mario Kart 9 right now.
Right.
But right now it'd be perfect because there's no really racing games for other for F-Zero to compete with. And so that'd be cool. Even if they did like a HD remaster of GX or through a collection on the Switch, I mean, hey, I'd take that. That'd be fine with me. That'll hold me off because it'll be something I could play on the go as far as portability wise. If I have GX on the go, I'll be happy with that until you guys decide whether or not you want to do another F-Zero or anything like that. So that'll be cool. But we'll see, I guess. We'll see.
For sure.
Yep.
Yeah, that's in the Nintendo Direct before we move on here.
I
Well,
think that's pretty much
We
it.
could
unless-
we could move. What did we talk about Xbox yet? Not yet, right? That's what we have to talk
No.
about.
I think now is a good time to jump into Xbox, and they obviously had the biggest conference this weekend.
Xbox.
A lot of big news from Halo Infinite to Fable and
Ooh,
Forza. So, what do
juicy,
you guys want to start
juicy.
off with? There's a lot.
Yeah, going from literally dead consoles to basically keeping their series alive on Xbox.
Yep.
One of the staples
Big
of the original Xbox launch titles is literally Halo. And so we finally got the world premiere of in-game gameplay, I guess, not in-engine. We did have some in-engine cutscenes, but it was some actual footage. So it was pretty cool. We finally see Halo 6, aka Halo Infinite, out. We see what it looks like, and I'm personally excited for it. With the
Yeah.
box art reveal that they had earlier in the week, they were teasing it all week, and they were like, "All right, cool. We're finally going to show you something." And the Halo Infinite cover is very reminiscent of Combat Evolved. Very similar stance with the very similar backdrop. This new Halo is going to be a bigger Halo. So they said that it's going to be, I forget how many times bigger, but it's definitely going to be, I think it was like 2 times bigger than Halo 5's map. So it'll be cool. So it's going to be a pretty big, massive sort of landscape for this game. So excited. I really am. So.
Okay.
It better be
is this
big.
looking like it's more of a? This look like it's open? Looking like it's more of an open world Halo? Because usually Halo games are fairly linear.
Mhm.
So I noticed that when they open up the map screen, there's a lot of icons and kind of looks like a traditional open world kind of game. Are you guys
Yeah.
gonna like be okay with playing a Halo game like that, or do you want to prefer like the more linear, classic way, I guess, of Halo?
I mean, I don't have too much Halo experience, but I played a bit of the Halo collection. Yeah, and I played. Halo Reach back in the
anniversary.
day, a little like it was back in like high school days, and played that co-op, and it was fun
Right.
experience. But I don't mind linear games, so for me it wouldn't bother me. But I wouldn't be surprised if they make it a little bit more open world, because that's where a lot of the games are heading towards now.
Yep.
Right.
But I think though that they should really make something big in this game, because Halo's really kind of fell off the map when it came to Call of Duty. I mean, I don't know if they're going to follow the trend of making a Halo Battle Royale or something out of the blue, because that's the trend nowadays. And like Halo's kind of like a
True.
dying beast right now, to be honest. And when you have titles like Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us Part 2, and those games are being compared heavily in sales. I mean, at the end of the day, people could debate about those two games in sales and, the fans of each franchise, but Sony's winning. Those are exclusives to Sony, and that's a pretty nice luxury to have that Xbox doesn't have right now. So, yeah, Xbox really needs to step it up with the Halo titles, so we'll see what happens.
That's true. I don't think their player base is anywhere, like you were saying, anywhere near what Call of Duty. They have millions. I don't think Halo has millions of players like the same level as Call of Duty, or even a game like Counter-Strike or Fortnite.
Yeah, for sure.
Those are free to play games, so
Yeah.
that's gonna be rough. We'll see what their multiplayer is gonna be like, because they didn't show anything about multiplayer, just the single player.
I'm calling it Battle Royale.
Right.
There's going to be a Halo Battle Royale probably.
I don't doubt it for sure. And to your point, Boo, literally, like you said, with basically Halo, they definitely fell off because of Halo 4 and Halo 5. Like Halo 5, I don't want to say it was bait and switch, but it kind of was. In the trailer, I think it was the reveal trailer, they showed off like, hey, this is Master Chief, and he's grungy, his armor's all cracked, he's getting older, and basically they showed him as like, all right, cool, you're gonna continue as Master Chief. And then when you actually played Halo 5, you played maybe one or two missions, and you played as the new character that they wanted to push, which was Spartan Locke. And so that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, including myself. Like I picked up Halo 4 on launch. I picked up the collector's edition, or the one of the premium editions, and I played the story, and I was like, this is not really good compared to the previous Halos. And then when Halo 5 came out, it was kind of still had that sour taste in my mouth, and basically didn't pick that up. So I actually watched a long playthrough on YouTube of Halo 5, and thankfully I did, because I eventually picked it up, but I picked it up when it wasn't $60, because that story was not worth it to me. It was very, very different than a traditional Halo story. You didn't play as Master Chief, which I didn't really care for, and I guess a lot of people that picked up the game didn't as well, because with the Halo franchise, Master Chief is the centerpiece. When you basically deviate from the main character that a lot of people love, it's not going to really do well. And I think the writing, the writing was good, but the story was kind of terrible. Like for what they did with that kind of story, it wasn't really intriguing to me and to a lot of other people. And playing as Spartan Locke, it wasn't really that Halo, that old Halo that everybody knew and loved. It was just like, well, you're throwing this in our face, and we didn't ask for this. And 343 was like, well, this is what we did, so here it is. But I think that with Halo 6 coming back to Master Chief, I think it'll be a little bit more well received, hopefully. But I would love for this game to basically cap off Master Chief's story and just end it with him here. Because I think it's been a long running title. I think 2004, 2003. So about 17 years of Halo. So
Dang.
I think it'd be a good time to, I guess, send Chief off to the farm and to the pasture. It'd be good though. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I think it's
Well, from the way the trailer looks.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, I just wanted the question about like I'm not the biggest Halo fan, but it's just reminding me of just a lot of times your favorite developers like Bungie. They're the original ones that made 1, 2, 3 Halo. So once that company broke off, and it was 343 what was the other company?
343
343 Industries. Once they kind of broke off, you saw the quality of Halo kind of went in a little weird direction. So, and a lot of the guys that made the original trilogy are on 343 Industries, from what I understand. But you still, lost some of that creative team that was on the, actual Bungie's, and they're just focusing on Destiny at this point. But other than that, like, it kind of reminds me of what we were talking about with Last of Us too. Naughty Dog not being the same company as they were in years past. So I think it's just, it's just hard to keep these original teams that captured that original magic. And I noticed you were saying that, Ron, with Halo, saying that it just doesn't feel like a traditional Halo. They tried to mix it up, and it, didn't really work as well as they thought it would be. So I thought it was just an interesting parallel to bring it up. We just gotta. I thought that would be cool to. But go ahead.
That's a good bring up.
Yeah, if you had. And Vu, you wanted to say something about the trailer?
I was just saying about the trailer, like how you were saying, Ron, that you were kind of bait and switch on Halo 5, and that you were, didn't get that satisfying story to Master Chief that you were looking for. And I think that they definitely, from what I've seen in the trailer, I can tell that they definitely saw that that blowback from Halo 5, and it definitely from the trailer, it's Master Chief is standing out a lot. He's the forefront, and I'm glad they're doing that, like you said, because when I played some of the older, I think I played 4 too, or is it maybe it was 5? I don't remember. I played. You said 5 was the one with what's the character that you play as the most?
Spartan Locke. So he's a new Spartan.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I think it was that one, and I definitely felt the same way. Like, it was one thing to play as the Arbiter in Halo 3 for a short time, but then playing as
Halo
this
2,
character,
Halo 2.
especially when Halo 2, and then all the marketing is so towards Master Chief. Yeah, it hurts to see that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like when you invest all this stuff in the trailers, you tell basically tell the consumer, like, hey, you're gonna play as Master Chief. Then all of a sudden you get the game and you play as him in maybe 2 missions. Then you're like, wait, hold on, this is not what I was expecting. I was hoping for more of Master Chief, but then you gave me this, and so that definitely, like I was mentioning earlier, definitely left a sour taste in a lot of traditional Halo players' mouths. And so it's nice to see them go back. They're like, no, okay, we're gonna make this right. We're gonna go back to it. We're gonna go back to Master Chief. We're gonna kind of finish off his story and let you play as him a lot more. So fingers crossed. Hopefully they keep it that way, because the trailer and the visuals got me excited to see returning basically to where we all started, kind of with Halo, and it will definitely be, if they keep up with it, it'll definitely be a pickup day one, which is awesome. And to cap it, this if it were to basically tie up everything, all the loose ends of Halo, and wrap up Master Chief's story really, really nicely, I would love it to be Master Chief's final send off before either they give this break or they make a new Halo series or a new Spartan series based on other characters. But that'd be cool. But there was one thing I did want to bring up about this trailer that was kind of concerning, and I kind of talked about it on my other buddy's podcast. But on Twitter, as the live stream was going, basically people were like, "Oh, they're looking at the graphics and they're like, it doesn't look really next gen." And this was the thing that we were talking about with Sony's conference that they had a problem with as well. When you showcase a game, you wanted to show the consumer that you're selling the new console to that this is the power of your new console. And when they were showing off some of the Halo footage, it actually looked like a last gen game. And they did comparisons on Twitter later on after all the trailers came out, and they did a side by side with Halo 3 and Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
And the textures on Halo Infinite look very flat and unrefined, and Halo 3, it was very interesting because it was all detailed and stuff like that. So there was always a thing that we're thinking, like, hey, is it literally gonna look like this at the final build, or is it just because they're still working on it and they're working on the polish? So we were worried that, hey, it might look kind of crappy at launch. So compared to like Xbox 360 title, and we're like, oh, so
I'm
that's
pretty
kind of
sure they're on some sort of development crunch just to get that trailer out, and it should look better by the end. But I mean, to me, I don't know about you guys. I want to ask this question: do you guys think what you've seen so far really is justifiable? Like I'm playing PS4 games now, and I mean, maybe I'm not too graphics crazy. Like the graphics look really. I guess we're comparing endgame PS4 graphics to what could be done on the PS5 and stuff like that. But I really don't think like the graphics are really that justifiable. I know like in a couple podcasts ago between Vu and I, we were talking about like frame rates and stuff like that. And that's true when he said that, a lot of the TVs right now don't support 120, but they are advertising 120 frames, and it could be false advertising if, there are the small minority that do have high refresh rate monitors, or even some TVs that have a 120 hertz TV, that they want to experience the fluid animations and instant, responsive gameplay with playing with higher frames. So hopefully, as we said earlier before, they give you an option like graphics tweak settings. But other than that, I'm not too impressed with how the graphics are looking for the next games.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree. After seeing that trailer, that's one big thing that I noticed that was on the forefront of my mind was the graphics. This is supposed to be, the next gen 4K HDR game, and it's your, the main title of what the Xbox is all about. And looking at it, and then looking at a game like Ghost of Tsushima or God of War, I'm like, these are PS4 games. Why do these look so amazing?
And they look so beautiful.
They look so beautiful. This Halo should be way above and beyond what they're doing, and I don't feel like they're setting up a high enough expectation for people to be feeling hyped about it.
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head with that one. Yep.
For sure. No. I think next gen to me is just having quick loading times. Everything's going to be snappy, responsive. That's going to be noticeable. Not so much the graphics, at least at the start of the console lifespan. So we'll see.
No, I totally agree. And it's crazy because with Halo, like you said, it's the flagship title. This is what you want to get an Xbox Series X for. This is your console seller, basically. You look at this, and if that is unrefined, that's going to kind of turn people off. Like, why should I get it if it's going to look like this? But then again, then you literally have games like Phantasy Star Online, given it was in-engine stuff, or in-engine, and they're showing cinematic stuff. But that game, it looked really, really good.
Yeah, Phantasy Star Online New Genesis. And online 2, let's put 2 in there, because I saw some reactions. They thought this was Phantasy Star Online 3, but no, it's 2 as of now. We don't know really what it really is. It's just a reskin of Phantasy Star Online 2, or is it like a spin-off game? I'm hoping it's more of a reskin of the whole Phantasy Star Online 2, because there's so much content there. All it really needs is a UI interface overhaul, and just new graphics, and games are great.
I see this as like the Final Fantasy 14 when they remastered it. Remember, it was so terrible at the beginning.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. I played both of them. Yep, 1.0 and the Realm Reborn relaunch. Yep, and now it's arguably
exactly. I see this
the best. Yep, I totally see your correlation to that. Yeah.
I see this. Yeah. So I see this as the Realm Reborn for Phantasy Star Online, and
that's a good point.
And you've been telling me for weeks to come play with you, and I'm just like, the graphics are kind of whatever, blah, blah, but
they're taking notes from Square Enix.
Upgraded graphics. Yeah, they're taking notes, and it's making it look super beautiful, super attractive. You want to hop in and definitely try it out, because it kind of reminds me of like Horizon, mixed with like
Xenoblade.
Monster Hunter.
Yeah, looks like a Xenoblade. Like if there was a high def Xenoblade, it definitely looks like that art direction. Yeah. So excited!
That's exciting, dude. I actually would definitely try it.
It's funny that Halo's all 3 of us should play it. It's funny that Halo is not the most exciting game, but to me, Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis is more exciting when that's an 8-year-old game too, technically. And I'm excited that it looks like it's just a skin overhaul, hopefully. And I would think it is, because I don't even think Microsoft would pick up Phantasy Star Online 2 if they didn't know some secret information that this game has new legs to it, and this has to be what the overhaul is. So what they're doing now for Phantasy Star Online 2 is they're catching up with the JP content, so they'll be caught up by the end of 2020. That's their goal, their roadmap. So once they release that, it's perfect because they said that this new Genesis release, graphics overhaul, we're assuming it's releasing in 2021. So it all looks like part of the roadmap. I don't see why they would make this as like a separate game. This has to be like a reskin. And this is a free to play game too, and this really kind of takes a hit on Final Fantasy 14 online a bit, to be honest. And I love that game, but that's a subscription base. But they both have their pros and cons. There's a lot of microtransactions in Phantasy Star Online too, but they are fair though. You don't really feel that you're forced to pay anything, and all the content is unlocked to free players. So they're probably the most fair free to play game out there, to be fair for them. But Final Fantasy 14. A quick shout out though. Once that new update comes out, 5.3, on August 11th, they are expanding the free trial to that game all the way up to Heaven's Ward. So anyone that wants to hop into that game for free, if you want to jump back into it, you could experience all the storyline from A Realm Reborn all the way to Heaven's Ward up to level 60 cap. And that's awesome because Heaven's Ward is quite possibly the best story that was told in Final Fantasy 14 online. Mm-hmm. And they also, if you were, let's say, scared away by the fetch quest at the beginning of the game, they eliminated all those quests, and they're just putting them as side quests. So now the game's going to flow a lot better. It's not making you deliver weird pizzas around Final Fantasy. Pun intended. That's so boring. You're not delivering tea. You're not doing stupid stuff like that anymore. So this is so good for Square Enix and Yoshida-san to really finally do that. Bring some new players in.
Right on. Dope. Yeah.
Nice. Right. Yeah. So with Halo, I think there's one big, huge franchise, obviously, that we haven't talked about yet, and that's Fable. You guys been a big proponent of the Fable series?
A little bit back in what was it, Fable 3 or 2? Mm-hmm. They definitely sold it really well to me, but they didn't really execute all the ideas that they hyped up. Yeah. That was the problem.
And I think with Fable, like, it was one of the things, like, we knew was coming. It was like almost like a worst kept secret, but I was still excited to see it because after they closed down Lionhead, which was the original Fable development studio, people were like, "Oh, what's going to happen with Fable? Does that mean that we're not going to get a Fable anymore? Is it going to go the way of Dead Space 3, basically where they canned that, and we might not see a Dead Space game come out anytime soon." So people were worried, but now since they were already talking about it and there was already rumors, it was nice to actually see them working on and confirm that a new Fable is coming. So I don't know if it's going to be basically a retelling of the original, because the original came out on the original Xbox. Then it got re-released on the 360 as the anniversary collection, or the anniversary basically collection. So it was like a HD upgrade to the textures and stuff like that. I don't know how well it sold, but it garnered Fable 2 and Fable 3. And so I don't know if they're going to reboot this one again and start from scratch, but we only got just a snippet of what might be in the game as far as like graphic wise and storytelling wise, but it was very, very small preview. So I think it's very early on in its development, but it's nice to see that they haven't put Fable to the side. But it's interesting. I want to see if this is going to be like how Devil May Cry was, where they had basically all the HD remakes, and they came out with that weird Devil May Cry, which was kind of like a retelling.
The reboot one?
Yeah, the reboot that people were like, about. So
I think Fable definitely needs some sort of reboot. It's been out of the limelight for a while. But also still feel familiar for the old fans, we were saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely will probably give it a try because I never really played the old Fable games too much, but they look fun. They kind of have a nice, chill, relaxed attitude, I guess, to it. So maybe I'll give it a try.
And then Fable, I think, is one of the 4 founding kind of games, like with that basically led to split decision kind of making in game, like you see with different branching storylines, like Infamous. You can go down a moral, basically you have a moral compass that you can go down a dark path or a light path. That originally from the old, I think Fable is the oldest game that has incorporated that dark and light path, and basically the actions that you take in game affect the outcome of your storyline. And I think Fable is one of the first ones to do it. And I remember that was a big seller back in the day on the original Xbox because you can go and be follow the moral compass and stay on the virtuous side and have like I guess a good outcome, or you can
Mm,
go down a dark path and basically end up as the villain of the story. And
mm,
that was a cool thing to have on the original Xbox, and because not many games were exploring, two simultaneous story kind of telling routes,
yeah,
and that
yeah.
was one of the pioneers, I think, to kick off that. So it was pretty cool to see. So hopefully they stick with it. Hopefully they add some more depth to that kind of, I guess, storytelling mechanic.
Hmm.
But we'll see. So it looks very, very interesting.
Isn't The Witcher a little bit like that? Did they take that from Fable, kind of, or
So
BioWare with Mass
I
Effect?
Yeah,
Hmm.
so I think personally, the Fable series, and remember when BioWare used to work on Kodar?
Mm.
Like, I think because Kodar has like a branching kind of storyline as well, right? I
I
can't remember.
remember there was
Never played it.
old Deus Ex Machina games. Did those have a
Oh, I
I
think
have a
so.
yeah,
They had a
distinction?
lot of
yeah,
choice between good and
Had a
yeah,
bad, I
lot of
believe.
choices. I don't know if
Yeah,
it was good or bad or what,
yeah,
but yeah, I remember that
some
had a
sort
lot
of
of
player choice
yeah,
for sure. That was
yeah,
such a
but
thing back in the day. Like, I don't think
hmm
it's as much now because I guess some of the branches of the story were kind of cheesy and the
hmm
quality
mm,
wasn't that good. But
yeah,
yeah, I could totally see that. They would have to come up with something really good because we've seen so many of those type of games now, and I think
hmm
mm,
we look at Witcher being probably one of the most memorable ones of those branching paths.
Witcher,
Skyrim, I
Detroit
think
Becoming
Bethesda.
Human,
Yep.
literally. So, we see those big titles, those AAA titles, utilizing this kind of storytelling mechanic. So it'd be nice to see like I guess one of the founding fathers or one of the original games revisit that kind of mechanic in their new game and see, after all these years, see how they want to improve that sort of storytelling and see what else they can add that hasn't already been done. So that's the thing I'm excited for. So
Hmm. Every
yeah.
time they release a Fable game, though, it always seems like a pretty big gap. So maybe
Mhm.
I mean, like you said, they're working on something. They're keeping it secret, and they don't want to reveal anything until they actually feel like it's actually good. So I can see
Yeah.
that.
So
Awesome.
do you guys have any final comments about the conference before we leave? It's about to hit the 1 hour mark
Um,
here.
my
So
final comments is PSO2, baby.
yeah.
Everyone play
yeah.
that. Let's go.
Yep.
Excited. That's my favorite thing of the whole Xbox
Okay.
conference. But you
Yeah,
guys?
I totally agree. Like PSO, like I know you've been telling us to play, and it's one of those things where Tiffany in here she's asking us when will we see us play on the podcast together. Fantasy Star might be that game that basically has us play all together. And so I know we've been talking about like Monster Hunter, and then I think universally all three of us are like, yeah, PSO 2. This is the game I think that all of us are pretty hyped about.
Hmm.
And for me, I haven't
Hmm.
played it. I haven't played like an MMO type of game in over like 5 years now. So I'm like, all right, cool. I might want to hop in.
Welcome to
So
the grind. I
All
mean,
right.
it is action RPG. It
Yeah.
feels
yeah.
just like
Yep.
a Devil May Cry game, kind of, or Kingdom Hearts type of
hmm
gameplay. So you'll fit right at home. It's
Yeah.
not
Nice.
quite a true MMO. It's more of like MMO light, to be honest.
Mm.
Okay.
But
Monster Hunter.
but
Okay.
the mechanics of the game is a bit complicated if you really want to get deep into it. And it's kind of like
All right.
MapleStory back in the day when you pick the certain skill types and then you don't want to mess up your character. Like you have to kind of do a little bit of research
Stick with
depending.
your
Yeah,
Yeah.
certain character builds. So
Yep.
so it does punish players if you mess up your character because you do have to buy like reset stuff from the shop and stuff
uh,
like that.
Yeah.
So,
To
okay.
basically
but
start over and like,
hmm
hey, this build
yeah,
didn't work out. Let me try
yep,
another build,
yep,
basically.
yep. It's very punishing. They do give out free skill resets though once in a while. So, other than
Okay.
that, like,
Nice.
yeah, definitely. I think they have to work on that where it punishes new players a little bit too much, but maybe New Genesis update will fix that.
Nice. All right. Yeah. So we're all pretty excited about Fantasy Star. Surprisingly, out
Yep.
of all the games, so that could be cool.
That's true, right?
So let's all right. So let's get out of here. You guys want to shut yourselves out and we'll
Yeah,
dip
for
out.
sure. You can catch me on 350Z Time on Twitch. Been playing a lot of games like Yakuza 0, things like that on 350Z Time on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, wherever you want to follow. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. And as for me, you can follow me here at Ron Kauanoe. I'm literally on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I usually use Instagram and Twitter mostly, so follow me there. You can also basically follow us here at the bottom, anchor.fm/hyperbolic time chamber. If you like the content, you can help out the podcast. Don't be inclined to do so, but you can support us for as little as $1 a month. Basically, that'll help us improve the quality, improve just basically any of the stuff that you might want to see, whether it be backdrops, things like that. All go towards that. We do have a YouTube now that we have been posting. So if you are fans of the video content and not just the audio, you definitely can catch previous week's podcast on YouTube. So basically, we upload all of the week-old podcasts on YouTube, and then we go and upload the newest one the week before we start. So tonight we'll upload, or last week's episode is up there now, and then this week will be probably right before next week's episode.
Yeah, a few days probably at the soonest. It will always be on the podcast service first. Other than that, yeah.
Yeah, so just in case you missed the live stream, you could definitely catch up on the video content and the video portion as well. So, but yeah.
Yep. And a free way to help it out is subscribe, comment, like, and share it on the podcast or on the YouTube channel, Hyperbolic Time Chamber Podcast. Otherwise, we appreciate you all just listening too.
Yep.
For me, I mean, on social at Will_F, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram. So that's it. See ya.
Cool. Peace out, everyone. Take care.
Thanks for watching. Bye.